My name's Virginia. I studied maths. I was very good at maths at school, and then I decided to study maths at university. And perhaps some of you have had similar things of people saying, well, what are you going to do with it? What can a mathematician do? And I'd also love parents to be here as well, because I often hear parents say to their kids, well, you know, maybe do accounting or do something else, because what are you going to do with maths? And I'm here to show you that the world is your oyster and the sorts of things I've done in the last 30 years. So yes, as I said, I did a mathematics degree at university 30 years ago, so I'm quite a bit older than you guys. But this is just an example in the last 30 years of the places that I've worked as a mathematician. So everything, at the moment I currently work for Koala. For those of you who know about the Aussie startup furniture brand, super fun, and I'll talk later about what a mathematician does at Koala. I've worked for Boeing, so I lived in Seattle for 3 years and worked on black box data and predicting when an aeroplane will need maintenance using the black box, which was heaps of fun. Tees and CIMIC, which are heavy industries. Interestingly, you guys are probably way too young, but BHP used to have a logo like the one on the left there, so I've had 2 goes at BHP. I've lectured at universities, I've worked in stock trading, and I also ran the Bureau of Statistics for the state government in transport. So, and there's plenty more I could put on there, but please, hopefully, that one of the main messages is there is so much you can do with maths, and there really is a lot of opportunity. And just again, when you guys are at the dinner table tonight, and I'm sure you won't disagree that more and more data is being collected in the world today. And data is not just numbers, figures, statistics, it's videos, it's text, it's images, it's conversations. And so, I don't know if this little laser thing... Oh, here we go. So, really fun fact, you can impress everyone at the dinner table. 90% of the world's data has been collected in the last 2 years. So just think of that since the dawn of human time and all of the records we've collected over time, 90% of the data in the world has been collected in the last 2 years. And then this is, I don't know if you guys can get a copy of this, being social media and digital natives, just how many minutes, every minute there's 3,472 Pinterest images, there's 4 million Google queries every minute. Each of those things is data, and the data is very powerful, but it's what you can do with the data that is where the really amazing things can happen. And then I think Emma also mentioned that the demand for data scientists is dramatically increasing. So these are just some very quick studies. So IBM predicts demand will soar by 30%. There's supply and demand issues with data scientists. And the thing that I often laugh about is Harvard Business Review have called data science the sexiest job of the 21st century. And often when I speak at conferences, I said when I was a mathematician, you know, in the 80s, it wasn't sexy, but my goodness, it's sexy now. So again, tell your parents, your friends, that data science is the sexiest job of the 21st century, according to Harvard Business Review. Now, I'm here to sort of explain what is data science, and I'm sure many of you have heard about it. These are all words that you've possibly heard data science also being called. I'm not here to explain what every single one of those means, but just as you read newspapers, as you read jobs, I'm sure you will see these terms come up. So statistics, information, digital, web development, data mining, marketing. What I'm here to show you in the next slides is how data science has been applied to a lot of real-world problems, and I'm hoping you guys will get involved and answer some of my questions. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just to try and promote your thoughts of how would you solve some of these problems. Okay, so the first one's really easy. The top 2 photos, who knows top left? Who knows where that is? You could just yell it out if you... Sorry? Yep, Harbour Bridge, well done. Yep, excellent. Who knows where? Yeah, Circular Quay, perfect, Harbour Bridge. This one? No, not quite Port Macquarie. It's a bit trickier. This is White Bay. So and it's a bit of a giveaway. So we've got 2 cruise ships here. And so a problem I worked on as a data scientist is, I'm not sure if you're aware, every time a cruise ship comes in, they charge a per person, per night charge of every passenger on that cruise ship. So it's just a flat rate. So the cruise companies have to pay, if you've got 1,000 people, $21 a night, $21,000 for those passengers. And what the government was looking to do was saying, well, you know, and I'm sure you would say, if you were parked, you would much rather park here than be parked here. So how much more can the government charge for a person to berth in a cruise ship at Circular Quay versus White Bay? So, and I won't tell you the answer, but that was a problem the state government came to me when I was working in this area as to what should the dollar per head be and what's fair for each of those two cruise ship locations. The next one down is someone tearing their hair out with the stock market. Do you guys know what class actions are? Or have you? So class actions is when, say, perhaps there's a lot of shareholders and the company tanks and they lose a lot of money, then all of the shareholders can band together and take legal action to say you were deceitful, this company, or you didn't share certain information. And so there was very recently quite a high-profile one where investors lost a lot of money in one of Australia's big companies, and they were arguing that because a company didn't release certain profit information, that the shares were at the wrong price when they bought in. So really interesting problems to solve, and helps even day-to-day investors. It's not just big banks. You can help day-to-day investors of what should the share price really be if these other things didn't happen. This one down here is. I've worked in, what's it called, Collusion in petrol prices. So for those of you who watch the TV and there's always the reporter on the petrol prices, again, the government wants to make sure that people aren't unfairly changing the petrol price and aren't unfairly trying to say, well, if the petrol shop down the road, let's go in together and let's raise our price, and bad luck, they can't do anything about it. So the ACCC, which is the Australian Consumer Competition Commission, came to us to say, can you find any hotspots in Australia where you believe that petrol stations are ganging up on the consumers and putting their prices up together? And there was, I don't know if anyone wants to have a guess at where that there was one very strong case of it in a particular state. No, it wasn't New South Wales. No, so a smaller. Yeah, who said Tassie? I usually have chocolate frogs to hand out, but I didn't quite get organised. Yeah, so Tasmania. And so if you think about it, there's there's less options for customers to go to different petrol stations. So we were able to find, there was a couple of towns in Tasmania where the petrol stations were ganging up on the consumers and raising their prices, and then the consumers didn't have a choice. So lots of mathematically interesting problems there. This next one, the top left, is, believe it or not, this is what the new Pap Smear is going to look like. So what that shows, it's called a polar probe. So inside that little thing is a laser, and it shoots a laser onto the edge of the cervix and takes a whole bunch of readings, a whole bunch of photographs and data readings. And then what a mathematician's job was to do was to say, what is the probability or what is the likelihood that that little patch has got cancer on it? So again, it's using, instead of all this sort of lot of medical physical intervention, that little probe will go onto someone's cervix, and people like me and data scientists will be able to say what is the likelihood that that is cancer or not cancer. Next one. Anyone know where this is? Sorry? Adelaide, did someone say Adelaide? No, so it's Adelaide Cricket Ground. So I'm not sure, I'm a mad cricket fan, I'm not sure if we've got any mad cricket fans here. But the way you can tell is this is a heritage listed scoreboard. And so what happened when they started doing day and night cricket at this ground, they had to, because it was heritage listed, they couldn't build permanent big lights up on the outside of the ground. And so what they had to do, they built retractable lights. So it was like if you could picture like a telescope, a big light, and then it would just come out of the ground like a telescope. It would stay on while the game's on, and then it would go back into the ground. Problem was, the first time they put it up, it got stuck. And so then the Adelaide Cricket Oval sued the engineers, and then the engineers sued the designers, and then a lot of rich people sued other people because the lights were stuck. And so I came in as a witness in the court case to work out why the lights got stuck. Does anyone want to have I was given as much data as I wanted, and to work out why on the first time the lights went up, did they get stuck? Is anyone game enough to yell out a couple of things they might have guessed? I hear someone saying some stuff over there. Someone's saying stuff, no? Sorry. No, not cricket bat, can't get up that high. Can't get up that high. No, it was the wind, it was the weather. So what happened, they designed the lights at ground level, and then once they got up, to as high as it was, the wind is much higher at height than on the ground. And if you could picture a telescope, just sort of got stuck and it wouldn't come down. So again, that was a mathematician solved I let them sort out the court case and the money, but we were able to get the weather data and work out that that's what had gone on. I'm just checking time. So I've still got 5 or 10 minutes. Okay. Okay, now this was actually the most fun part of my career when I got to work at Boeing and got to live in Seattle for 3 years. So have any of you guys been to the Boeing factory when you've travelled as a tourist attraction? Okay, so it's actually a very, very popular tourist attraction up in Seattle. Is you can, as a member of the public, you can go on a guided tour through the Boeing factory, which is pretty impressive. I think it's the biggest building in the world, and it has its own weather system, so it can rain inside the factory because it's just so big. And what the group I was working with, I was working in the mathematics group for Boeing, which are also based in Seattle. And anything to do with maths or numbers for Boeing that comes in, our group was the group that went and tried to solve it for them. So what I've got shown here, this is, and I guess no one's really flying anywhere at the moment, hey, this is the inside of a 737. And so Boeing said, we'd like to redesign a 737 that makes it more appealing to passengers. And then if it's more appealing to passengers, then more airlines will want to buy that aircraft. So at the Boeing factory, they mocked up all of these pretend cabins, and any time a tour group came through, they filled in a survey and they sat on the different seats going, do you like this one? Is it too wide? Do you like that? Would you pay $50 for this, or would you pay $20 for that? And then we came in and we had to work out what was the features that Boeing should design into their new cabin to make the most money for airlines. And again, I know people are a bit shy here, but I know when I often ask, people go, seat width, leg room, which is actually the airline's decision, not Boeing's decision. So it's sort of, can you think of an aspect of the inside of an aircraft that Boeing could change that would make it more pleasant for people? Oh, yes, sorry. Yep, that's half the answer, well done, yes. So yeah, related to the roof, if you go on that theme, is there something else? Oh, yeah. Yep, that's the next part, and then there's one more bit. If anyone's, oh, yeah, so someone. No, not the seat. So if we're going, we've got the lights, yes. The baggage, yes. Very, very close. It is got to do with a dimension on an aircraft. So there's someone over here. Sorry. Hold that thought. I've got another story on that. But there's someone over here, I think, that said it. Yes, perfect. So it's if you can think of yourself in an aeroplane that you're just in this horrible tube, and so anything you can do to give a sense of height or space. And so if we ever do get to fly again and you're on a new 737, you'll notice that the ceiling is much higher. The light is there for the mood and the psychology, and then the bins had to change shape so that people could get a bigger sense of space there. And then just very quickly, someone said windows over here. So a friend of mine is actually the data scientist at Delta Airlines in the States. And they, to make things more efficient, they cut down the cleaning time. So the time when you land, the cleaners come in and then everyone gets back on again. And they were starting to get a lot more negative reviews on the airline, and they couldn't work out why. And then the data scientists got involved with a lot of surveys and feedback. And it was that the cleaners didn't have time to clean the windows. So with the windows not being cleaned, then people weren't having that sense of space. So the person who said windows was right, because clean windows will give that sense of outdoor space. So something as simple as cleaning a window, a mathematician worked that out at Delta Airlines. The other really fun job I got to do was working on what is the best paint for lightning strikes. So lightning strikes will happen, and so which paint do we choose to make it the least flammable? So that was a really fun job. It's someone's job in Boeing to actually get an aircraft panel, put it behind a big screen and just set it on fire. So they do that 3 times a day. They set things on fire all day, every day of the year. So it was fun going to watch it, but we then had to take those results and work out which paint is best for Boeing to use that has the least flammable properties. Okay, so this, very quickly, this is actually the coolest thing I got to work on at Boeing. So this is a diagram. So this is a 787 in the sky, and what the diagram is showing is in real time, the black box data can transmit back to the ground in real time. So you often hear in aircraft accidents that they go looking at the bottom of the sea for the black box and what happened. Instead of only using the black box when it's catastrophic, it's actually collecting data in real time, even if the aeroplane is healthy. So what Boeing invented was a way of sucking that data in real time to the ground, and then they brought in people like us to work out, are there any patterns in that data? And how do we know if the aircraft is healthy? By healthy, I mean, is it going to need maintenance, not is it going to crash? We're not talking about crashing here, we're just talking about it needing maintenance and having to be on the ground for a bit longer. So this is usually another chocolate frog question. So what we discovered, it was really interesting, we had 100,000 different sensors, so 100,000 different signals of if something was broken on, off. And then we had, I think, every flight of every 787 and 747, which was hundreds of millions of rows of data, and we had to find out what patterns were coming out of that data, and could we predict if something was going to break on the aircraft and therefore be ready on the ground for when it lands. And so this was a really fun one that came up. So the top one is a coffee pot. So if the coffee pot starts to fail in the galley, and the toilet lights, like just the little innocent toilet lights, start to fail, there's something more significant that's going on. And if we notice that in an airline, you've got 10 flights before the air conditioning will break. So that's just one example of the hundreds of patterns we found that airlines now pay to know that. And so if an aircraft is flying, I don't know, Sydney to LA, midway they go, oh, hang on, the coffee pot, the toilet light, they have the air conditioning parts ready on the ground instead of working that out when it lands. That was heaps of fun. I actually won't labour on this. I'd like to talk more about what I do at Koala. So I've done a lot of work, as you can see, in industry, manufacturing, aviation, some of the really heavy manufacturing industries. I made in COVID, I don't know if quite a few of us did the what am I doing with my life, and I made a deliberate choice to switch to Koala, which is an Aussie brand, an e-commerce, a startup, a very fresh, exciting brand. And then people have said to you, well, what are you going to do at Koala? There's only so many beds you can sell, or there's only so many sofas you can sell at Koala. I've got a copy here. This is, for anyone who's gone on, this is Koala's website. It's very similar to a lot of e-commerce websites. And what I do, I'm sure you guys you're very digitally savvy, every time someone clicks on that site or does a certain behaviour, we then try and predict what they're going to do next. So we don't know that it's you personally, but we know, okay, this person's come in, they've clicked on this. Based on everything we've seen in the past, what are you more likely to do in your behaviour? And how are we more likely to offer you something that suits you or something that is going to make you more likely to buy something off us? So people might just think I do a lot of forecasting of stock and sales and that sort of thing, but it's really about predicting online behaviour and live data. So basically everyone on our site at any one time, in real time, we can collect what they're clicking on, what their journey is through the site, and then how do we give them a better journey, and then how do we then convert that to selling more stuff. I don't know, I was going to try and show that video as the last thing. Do you want me to have a go? Okay. So that's all my official talk. I was just going to show I don't know if you guys have seen the latest Koala ad, it's pretty funny. And then, yeah, time for questions if anyone's got questions they'd like to ask me. There we go. So I work with some very clever people, so this is their latest ad. There you go. That's me.